Good morning, and welcome to a very poorly start to things you might have heard for Monday, June 27th, 2022. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne, and this is the thing we do every single Monday through Friday, although it's been a very rough last week due to one, some traveling conditions, and two, COVID 19. There you go. Finally got the chance to experience the life and the love that is COVID 19. And trust me, it's not life and love. So you don't want to get this thing. Do not sleep on this. Yes, it's still going around. And trust me, when you let your guard down and you think you got everything going on, you never really know. I spent a week at a conference, or spent a few days at a conference, and around the same general people, around no really random bunch of strangers. I did some wandering around by myself, just sightseeing, just seeing the sights, and then I come back, get back from the plane ride home in the middle of the week, and then spend the rest of the week dealing with getting the virus out of myself. So COVID 19, very serious. Do not sleep on that. Also, do not sleep on all the unrest that's going on right now in the news. We will not cover the majority of the big stuff because I'm pretty sure you heard the big stuff happening, but there are some ramifications from that that's going to ripple through. So we'll go through some of stories. We got about 11 stories a day out of the top 30. Only got about 65 stories posted as opposed to 90 because COVID 19 and being sick and all sorts of stuff. Also, it was a pretty relatively slow random news week when you think about it because everything was kind of sucked into a lot of Supreme Court decisions and a lot of things happening through those things it was not a lot of actual advancing of stories over the past weekend. It was essentially just the same story repeated over and over again because you've got to do it. It bleeds, it leads. So we got 11 different distinct stories. Some of them do have some very serious ramifications of what may happen in your life. Some of them are actually even sillier than anything is normal, if you will believe that. And yes, we have an OnlyFans story that's actually a bit of a serious, not a joke. So I want you to make sure you pay attention to that one. And we'll also talk at the end of this thing. So this is going to be a little long, a little bit dull, a little dry towards the end. But we're going to talk towards the end of this about some serious needs that we need for things you might not have heard because we have some serious needs here as a nation to just kind of figure things out. And right now, I need some serious needs to help me keep this thing going because there is a real purpose to this that a lot of people are get more of it than you think. And I need your support for this one. So let's go ahead and start rolling with the actual news stories. Most of them not as important as what's actually going on out there, but this is things you might not have heard, things you may have missed in the mainstream coverage, and not necessarily the big stuff, including this one, which I'm sure you totally missed. Denise Richards has joined OnlyFans days after saying that she and Charlie Sheen have no grounds to be judgmental, that's a quote, of their 18-year-old daughter's page. BuzzFeedNews.com gives this one. So early in the week or late in last week, there was a story about Denise Richards and Charlie Sheen's daughter having her OnlyFans page and making good money, mostly because she's a famous person or the daughter of a famous people doing whatever she's doing on OnlyFans. What she's doing, I don't know. I'm not a subscriber. But what did come down was Denise Richards said that, you know what? We really don't have anything to say about what our 18-year-old daughter is doing. And with that, Denise Richards figured out she would do her side hustle and join the OnlyFans club. How much money is she doing and what is she doing for it? I don't know. I don't have a subscription. They ain't my kids. They ain't my life. They crazy. They actually are crazy. But as Richard says, they really can't fault the daughter, who is an adult, a legal adult, legal enough to bind in his contract with OnlyFans to do what's going on. And apparently, no one's getting hurt. At least as far as we know, no one is getting hurt. Let's move on to story number 2, which happens to be the 8th story ranked between the top 30 stories. We'll explain that stuff in a bit as well. Pornhub execs resign after a accusation of minor content. Reddit.online.com gave us this one, and this is one that it really needs a moment to take a bit of seriousness on there. Now, there are various sides to the debate of pornography. There's various sides of debate to pornography on the internet, and there's various sides of debate to what basically is not hurting people. Anything that concerns minors is hurting people. So, as Pornhub has had lots and lots and lots of problems over the last couple of years over having illegal content and a lot of revenge porn type content thrown up there, and now apparently they're finding more minor content slipping through the cracks. The people in charge have to be the people in charge and take the fall for it. So a slew of execs are resigning, dropping off of the actual working class of Pornhub, of the boss class, I should say. The working class is still doing what they're doing because there's lots of accusations right now of minor content slipping through the cracks and getting in there. How has that happened? I don't know. I'm not on Pornhub. But we do, yes, and we do say it jokingly. We do say jokingly about a lot of things to do for OnlyFans and Pornhub and porn stars and things like that because they're randomish news stories that get missed out that can become something that's worthy of having a conversation with. Whether on the silly, if you're giggling like I do, like 8th grade boy half the times, or if it's something more serious when you're talking to someone with parents and adults on kind of the things to kind of guide away from your children. This is something you need to know about. There are things going on out there, and people assume that there's all sorts of bad things going on there. This is proof there's not quite great stuff on there. I am not knocking anybody's use of porn or abuse of porn at the same time, but you have to remember that this stuff does hurt people. You may think it may not hurt someone who's innocent and doesn't know what's going on, but it does. And so that's all we're going to do on that one. And we're done with that type of talk for right now. Now let's go on to things that really, really kind of matter. Obese retired General 67 sent to Ukraine as Putin runs low on commanders. Mirror.co.uk sends us this one. This was the second ranked story over the weekend, so this one got a lot of love and attention from you guys because you thought it was just superly silly, and it kind of is. There's a picture of this really, really, really fat dude in fatigues doing the salute to Putin, and they're saying he's one of the generals that's going to Ukraine to fight the good fight because they're running out of people to fight the good slash bad slash really intensely dumb fight that Russia's doing. And this is something we've known for a while. However, there's still the seriousness of Russia being Russia. Russia still has enough resources, even if they're losing them and people are backing off of them, to sustain this battle for much, much longer than anybody really cares for. This has gone on 100 or so days, and it's become a thing where we're not sure when it's over. And now we're seeing that the brave Ukrainian fighters are starting to falter because, they're only going to do so much with so little for so long. Quick sidebar. Over the week at the conference, I met a young lady from Ukraine. Her and her son were there. Her son was there competing in one of the challenges there. And then she was from Ukraine and we had a chance to talk about her life and what's going on and the people going on. And she says essentially her days is spent every day spending about an hour or two making sure everybody is okay. And once that's done, she says some prayers, and she kind of goes about her day as best as possible, but wakes up the next morning to spend about an hour or two making sure that everyone is okay. As far as she knows and concerned, everyone's okay. She did have a couple of family members that go through some serious health issues that are surviving, including a birth inside of a bunker, because that's what's happened when you're in war zones. These things are serious. You have to remember these things. And from that conversation, brought home a lot of things that from afar, seems like I'm reporting things, I'm reading news reports, I'm watching TV all the time and seeing that. But hearing it from someone who actually speaks to people in that state and knows how the nation, how the place runs, has been a very, very, very life-changing sort of time for me. So I've, thrown extra prayers towards her family and the nation of Ukraine, and to Putin, actually, that he, grows his heart 3 times and stuff from being so small someday and just ends this thing. We'll see how my prayers stack up towards anything else. Next story. Green Day star Billie Joe Armstrong claims he's renouncing his citizenship. DailyMail.co.uk is on this one. And while I saw this in 2 sources, the Daily Mail and Fox News, I went with the Daily Mail story. I need you to go click on this link. I need you to just go read the story. One of the weird things about Green Day, when they came out like gangbusters as, kind of a low brand punk rock that was popish, Green Day has turned into a force of nature in the world of actual commentary. Even though they started off as kind of rude, crude little punks, literally, Billie Joe Armstrong has essentially speaks for a lot of people, essentially a real silent majority of people who are just sort of weirded out and fed up with the way things work. Now, there's a standard flag waving America that, we should be following, air quotes, we should be following. And then there's all the splintered versions of what's going on that have people saying, this ain't quite right. Green Day's Billie Joe Anderson, sorry for saying it like that, it's just weird to say it that. Billie Joe Anderson, I'm saying Anderson, Armstrong. Billie Joe Armstrong is doing something that a lot of people wish they can do. They're basically taking a united front of people who aren't quite united and basically saying that this standard is not such a great standard. So good job for Armstrong. Green Day were actually one of my favorite bands from the 90s as I, basically kicked off radio and rock alternative radio. One of my favorite bands in the 90s and started off as, like I said, kind of, punks, punks that are poppy. Green Day having, the good Play American Idiot, the commentary they do. And you need to read this story. Don't just hit the headlines and say, well, why don't you go back to California? Read the story. See what he's saying. And then throw your bitches and complaints towards Billie Joe Armstrong. Not I. Here's a guy you can throw bitches and complaints through as well. Warren Sapp. He claims that Colin Kaepernick's workout with the Raiders was a disaster. TotalProSports.com gave us this one. And now let's back this up just a little bit. I'll get to my point of Kaepernick in a second. Warren Sapp has been sort of on the outs lately for a lot of things, just being a terrible person, essentially. And so the only leak we've had of Colin Kaepernick's Raiders workout, other than that it happened, is from Warren Sapp, because he's a former Raider, and so he's got some insight on it, and he says that it sounds like it was pretty bad. Now, Warren Sapp is turning into the Jason Whitlock of actual players, where he's just kind of saying crazy stuff just to get on TV, just to get some ink pixels, just so people pay attention. Whether his workout was great or not, who knows for Kaepernick. And in fact, I tend to believe that Sapp may be onto something with what he's saying, although, as I said, the presenter, the actual prophet giving us the prophecy, is a little suspect. That the actual workout wasn't as great as it was. And no one thinks that Colin Kaepernick is not in great shape, but let's remember the reason why he was on the side of the sidelines anyway, sitting on the bench, was because he was benched for not playing well. There may be something to the fact that Colin Kaepernick may not fit into very well many systems, and now that he's got that, God's hero status from doing commentary, basically saying what he wants to say and uniting people who are fractured and disfranchised himself, that may be the issue where he needs to now focus on that. I said early on in the Colin Kaepernick glory days that I was a bit wary of the messenger, but now that he is the messenger, I'm not knocking the messenger. The message is totally fine. Maybe he never plays NFL football again. Maybe he doesn't need to play NFL football again. Maybe he needs to keep on doing what he's doing right now, and the football becomes the distraction, not actually the buildup that it is. We shall see in the life of Colin Kaepernick going forward. Sarah Jessica Parker urges fans to stop calling her brave, in quotes, for embracing her gray hair. AceShowbiz.com is that one as well. I also implore you to read this one as well, because I may have my thing. I have my weird beef against Sarah Jessica Parker, and it's just because I think it's funny. But in all seriousness, Sarah Jessica Parker is a fine actress who has navigated Hollywood very, very well, and is looking for fans to not, overstate the fact that she's getting older and she has gray hair, and she's not trying to color it pink to offset it. She's not getting a lot of work done. She's not doing a lot of extra things. She's just getting old, and it's just happening, and that's what happens to everybody. So read that one as well. And here's Sarah Jessica Parker give her take on how her gray hair isn't being brave. It might be a bit lazy, but it really is just embracing life. Chadwick Boseman's widow and parents split $2.3 million from actor's estate. RadarOnline.com is our source of this one. We know there's a bit of contention on the state of Chadwick Boseman. What was really, really kind of odd is that this is what's come down to. Chadwick Boseman did not have a very large estate. We kind of knew that, but we thought, the man who was Black Panther, the man who was doing all these great things, the man who had the great story of being mentored in a sense by great actors, the man who is fighting back and forth with Michael B. Jordan for best dude in the world. Literally fought the guy to be Black Panther. Literally fought the guy to be Black Panther. Didn't have much more put away when he died, and of course, part of that was because he was literally dying in front of us, dying of cancer and going through treatments, literally going through chemo and doing shoots and having like literally no one knew anything about it. The only clue he had were the really really skinny photos he had at some appearances where people was like, "Dude, what's up with Chad?" Then we find out what's up with Chad. His estate's only $2.3 million, and he has to split that between his widow and his parents. Very sad story on that one. Very sad ending. If this is the end of this one, we shall see how this goes on. But that is what goes on. This is a reminder to take care of your affairs, take care of your business, get as much insurance and as much savings as possible, and make sure you have some sort of will, some sort of statement that says what to do with your estate when you're gone, so that your people are taken care of. Because that's only that's a little over a million and a half to take care of Chadwick Boseman's wife and baby, and then his parents take a same amount for their pain and suffering, if you will. Far right fans of The Boys are apparently having a raging meltdown after finally realizing that Homelander is a villain. Uprocks.com gives us this one. And this is a story that reminds us all, or should remind us all, if we are smart enough to read the context, that we are all being lied to. I always remind folks that, from my time in the media, time in radio, and seeing, famous people wander through the studio and talk and do the interviews, that meeting your heroes, meeting famous people, meeting people that you look up to from afar is always a big mistake, because they will usually disappoint you. Most likely, they're just tired and bored and aren't really into telling the big stories you think you're going to have with them. And then sometimes they're just really super jerks, and they prove it when they're tired and bored and really don't have much to talk about. What we're finding out from watching The Boys after 3 seasons is that now that Homelander is going homicidal and basically taking on the roles of all the big government conspiracy folks that they believe, and not just being, red, white, and blue, people are seeing the deeper details from Anthony Starr, who's playing the role of Homelander, just how deep and dark and just how bad this character can be. But unfortunately, playing this character as a true villain is showing people who actually fall for the true goodness of the propaganda in a TV show that he's a true villain. Similar things happen with Stephen Colbert. Remember how Republicans were all up in arms when the Colbert Report ended, and they found out that Stephen Colbert was actually an improv actor playing a role that was a parody of other Republican commentators. He wasn't actually that dude. He was just making fun of dudes, and they got really, really mad at him. That's just basically what's happening here. Russia strikes Kiev as Western leaders meet in Europe. This is an actual story. It's actually important with things going on. So today, right now in Europe, the G7 is popping up. G11 is popping up, where there are various leaders from around the world who are meeting and mostly talking about Ukraine, because Ukraine is the thing that's keeping things kind of in the go. Russia is finally making its break into the East, essentially as it's basically taking care of all the major territories in the western part of Ukraine, and is now striking Kyiv with missiles, something they said they were going to do basically days into the war. It took them 100 days, and now they're doing that. Vladimir Zelensky is saying he would like this thing wrapped up by winter, because winter is kind of harsh in Ukraine, and he's asking the leaders, all the leaders, to do something about it. What is he doing about it? What are they doing about it? What is Putin doing about it? What is Biden doing about it? What is Macron doing about it? That's what I really want to know. Well, we'll see. Right now, they're just sort of palling around. They're doing the family portrait stuff. They're walking around with no ties and just kind of giggling. But there's serious work to be done around the world. And one thing that Russia has done is sort of united the world against them. Now, what they can do against them, no one's figured out yet, but we'll see with that going as well. But right now, Russia is actually getting closer and closer to taking a larger chunk of Ukraine, actually taking the entirety of the nation by going after the capital. And leaders are meeting to hopefully take care of that. Meanwhile, what Biden did before he left was sign a landmark gun measure and saying that lives will be saved. There was a whole lot of things to bitch and complain about this week for Biden to do or not do. And this week he did something, or literally as he was getting on the plane, he did something. He signed this gun measure that the Congress put together to see how things are going to go. This is going to be big, we think. There were compromises, there was tears, there were probably Wayne DeLaPere burning things in the fireplace to keep the evidence from being caught. But what we do have here is some measure of gun safety, some measure of gun control, some measure of getting together to kind of stave off the guns. We're going to see how well this thing's going to actually work when somebody tries to enforce it and more people start to complain about it. Newsflash, they'd go complain more about this weekend if it weren't for the Roe versus Wade report. But we're going to see how this thing actually plays out. Gun violence is a problem for the United States. It's a serious problem for the United States. If you don't believe that, you have not been paying attention to the United States. The guns may not be the issue, which is debatable, but the violence and the people behind them obviously are. So will this be fixed? We shall see. And Justin Timberlake issues apology after cringy video of him dancing goes viral. This was a weird one. This was a story that I saw for days all over the place that people jumped onto because I think they wanted happy news to talk about. It actually happened, came out on Thursday, early Friday, before the Supreme Court decision. So this is something that would have blown up a little sooner if they weren't, taking care of real news. But that's something. Basically, there's this video of him doing his little diddy dance, and then he apologized online because it was cringy. I guess I need to lighten up this thing because it was a really, really deep, dark week. And yeah, also, I had COVID. Yeah, so there. We're going to call brain fog on COVID for that one. Here's a story that's a teaser. We may talk about this one tomorrow if you say it deemed worthy. Giuliani slapped by supermarket employee, police say. Rudy Giuliani, the former mayor of New York City, former king of the world, is now basically pressing charges against a lady in the supermarket who called him a scumbag and popped him one inside a grocery store. Is he a scumbag? Should she have popped him one? Should she have popped him two? Is this something that you think we should be chatting up more about? Let me know by voting this up in the engagement when it posts in our social media. You can see in the scroll right there how to follow us on our feeds. We'll explain that again in just a moment. But first, let's go to the money-making part of the show and talk about Fundrise. Go to thisisaconversationproject.com/fundrise, and you get a chance to get into investing in real estate in a way you've never imagined, and that is investing into real estate without having to go buy a house and go sell it. The future of real estate investing is what they say on their website, and this is something that you may want to get into. Now is the best time to diversify your portfolio. Now may not be the best time you think to get into stocks and bonds and real estate because the markets are all over the place. But trust me, the earlier you get in, the better you'll feel. And you don't have to start with a lot. And trust me, Fundrise allows you to gain this knowledge, gain this equity in increments. And they're also going to give you extra shares into your fund. Oh, fund? Yes. You're not just buying a house. You're buying a fund that goes out and buys properties to renovate and rent and sell and make money off of. Other people do the work. You just invest in them to you do the work, and you get paid the dividends. Exactly. And you get an extra dividends right now, extra shares in the moment if you join Fundrise right now. And I believe they're still giving you 30 days off advisory fees. So you can do your first 30 days, load it up as much as possible for essentially free. There you go. Check it out at thisisaconversationproject.com/fundrise. Thisisaconversationproject.com/fundrise. This is an affiliate link that allows us to keep the lights on. Many lights here in the room. So check it out as a way to diversify your portfolio. Yes, we are still pushing real estate. Yes, we're still pushing stocks. Yes, we know they're not doing so great, but they'll do better at some point. It's all cycles, go up and down. Get your chance to get in on the point at the ground floor of your investing with very little. That way, when things turn up, you're already in the game. Thanks to Fundrise. Now let's go to the next slide, which will tell you more about the whole feeds things. I did not open up by talking about what we're doing today. This is Monday, and on Monday, I broadcast this to 6 different channels. Normally it's 3 channels. One for my J. Cleveland Payne page, my business page, my personality page on Facebook, and the 2 This is the Conversation Project pages on YouTube and on Facebook. Today I'm both blasting to all my peeps and all my social media and all my general stuff to get a little extra juice. And what we do on today is we give you from the weekend, which is normally much more expanded time of stories. And usually about 90 stories. Like I said, I was sick this weekend, so it took a lot out of me just to get in what we got doing. Basically, barely over what I had for the week. So we had about 60 stories. We gave you stories from the top 30, and probably way too many, to be honest, that you may not have picked up on in your mainstream media coverage. We are not CNN. We're not MSNBC. We're not Fox. We are definitely not Newsmax or OAN. But what we are, what I am, what we do is we look for news stories, things that are interesting, conversational, and put them out there and have conversations with them. Now, this may not seem all that conversational, me monologuing to you, but it's a start. You can come back with us and go back there and find out more about what goes on with the Conversation Project at thisistheconversationproject.com. Make sure you go there and you check out our page for our sponsors. More sponsors to help us keep things going. Our partnerships page, maybe you want to join with me and do better things here. See more about the process behind here and see what you can do to help us grow this thing here. The biggest thing you can do is not only watch this video or watch any of our media, but follow our feeds on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/thisistheconversationproject and Twitter.com/th_conversation. When you go there, we post news stories every 50 minutes or so, or every few hours if you're dying of COVID, to give you things to react to. And you just react to them. Reaction! Seriously. Engage with the stories, and the higher engagement they get, the higher score they get. This Monday, we should have had 90 stories on New Year's. We didn't have that many, but we took from the top 30 stories, the top half, if you will, and we picked the stories that were basically most conversational, something that we think you'd get something out of, and things you probably would have missed. We're pretty sure you did not pick up on Denise Richards' OnlyFans or the Pornhub firings or resignations on your own while picking through the Roe versus Wade coverage all weekend long, because it was all Roe versus Wade coverage. But those are things that are interesting, kind of important. Biden signed that bill for the gun control. That's kind of important. Kiev getting bombed and people talking about it. Those things are kind of important. And they get missed out with the mainstream coverage being stuck on the main things. CNN may not be doing breaking news 24 hours a day that is not really breaking news, but they are still doing the same stories over and over again because they're important. These other stories, kind of important too. Some not, some just quirky. They are what they are. Follow us on our feeds and you get them and you engage with them and you vote them up. Tuesday through Friday, assuming I can keep up this through for the week, we're going to go through about 30 stories within a day's time, and we're going to give you stories from the top 15, so top half of that as well. We'll see how that works. Those will only be on the This Is Conversation pages, so if you're not getting this every single weekday, follow us on YouTube. This is the conversationproject.com/YouTube. A few more things to round out your day. June 27th birthdays include J.J. Abrams turning 56 years old today, Tobey Maguire, the one and true Spider-Man, 47 years old today, and Khloe Kardashian hitting 38 on this day. Today is Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder Awareness Day. There are a lot more fun things to celebrate today, but this is something that we probably all can take some awareness of after the events from the weekend. In past weekends and prior weekends and weeks and 2 years of coronavirus and 9/11. Let's not sleep on trauma. Let's not sleep on stress. Let's not sleep on post-traumatic stress. Let's not sleep on just people being freaked out about things happening. And definitely not sleep on people who have serious disorders who can barely function because of all that they've dealt with. Take some time to deal with your own trauma and stress. Take some time to make a phone call to somebody who you know is dealing with their own trauma and stress. And if you know someone who suffers from actual PTSD, and especially if it's severe, reach out to them, ask them how they're doing. Just ask, how they're doing. Don't go deep into it. Just ask how they're doing. They may be grumpy. Trust me, I'm the grumpy guy who hates people asking about stuff, but they appreciate it more than you know. And this is a name I'm going to butcher, but because for some reason I decided to take the pronunciation out. Kaby LeMay part, I got that. But Kaby LeMay is now official king of TikTok. The social media star now has 142.8 million followers on TikTok, which puts him above previous top TikTok creator Charlie D'Amelio, who has a name easier to pronounce, also butchered, who currently has 142.3 million. I don't get TikTok. Every time I go to TikTok, it seems like an even bigger waste of time. I'm trying my best to put this stuff on TikTok, but I go there, I see people just lip syncing really dumb stuff and very, very, very poorly bad comical stuff, and think maybe civilization is at its end. Maybe we are at the end times. TikTok may be the harbinger of death as far as I'm concerned. Monday, June 27th, 2022. Sorry about the hit on TikTok, but my name is Jay Cleveland Payne. Thank you so much for popping in here, whether it was live. Shout out to a live viewer watching us on the YouTube. Thank you so much there. And of course, Christina with the K, beautiful wife, for checking in on things. Follow our feed so you make sure you're getting these stories every single day. Apologies for the voice. Apologies for the energy. Apologies for just being sort of blah. It's been a rough week, a rough weekend, a lot of rough things coming. And unfortunately, there's probably no end in sight. So it's most important that reminds you to stay hydrated, stay limber, and stay on task. We all have a lot of things to do, and while this may not be the most flashiest presentation of news and information or commentary out there, it serves a purpose. It serves a purpose, number one, to keep me sane, because I think most of the coverage you see out there is just horrible, and so I'm trying to throw my little 2 cents into the world to see things going. It makes a bit of sense because there are people who pick up a couple things here or there that they would not have picked up on, and they go forward. And it makes sense because it gives me a chance to check in on all of you. So there, I've checked in with you. Thank you so much for being a part of this and being a part of what I do here. I'm going to go rest a little bit. I'm still not cleared to get back into the full work swing of things, so I'm going to go lay down and rest a little bit. I'll take the rest of my antivirals because I'm still on the meds, and go back to doing some semi work and semi new stuff. We're going to do our best to get a full slate of news reported, posted in today, and do our best to do better on being more pithy. I now see I can do 30 minutes, but can I carry a room for 30 minutes? We shall see. Enough rambling. Let's go in this thing on Billie Joe and get out of here. We'll do this thing again tomorrow. Lord willing, creek don't rise.